Good evening, I'm Bill Maley, Brighton Supervisor, and I'd like to welcome all of you here to the March 25th, 2015 meeting of the Brighton Town Board. Whether you're here in the auditorium in person or whether you're watching us on cable channel, our community access channel, or streaming on the internet, we appreciate everybody participating. I just want to remind everybody that on the back table here in the auditorium is a folder with the agenda and all the supporting material for tonight's meeting. If you're watching on the internet or on TV, you can go to the Town of Brighton webpage at townofbrighton.org, and there on our webpage you will have all of those same documents, the agenda, and all the supporting materials available for you. Let's start with a pledge to the flag, and I'll ask Town Board Member Louise Novros to lead us.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we get started, I do want to remind everybody that in case of an emergency, the Town Hall emergency alarm system will be activated. If you hear that alarm, and you'll know it when you hear it, exit the room immediately, either out this door to my right, and if you go out that door, turn right, go down the stairs, out the rear entrance to Town Hall and move away from the building. Or you can leave through either of the double doors in the rear here of the auditorium, out the main front entrance of Town Hall, down the steps, and again, away from the building. Occasionally, we have technical difficulties during the live broadcast. If you're watching on Time Warner Cable and the sound or the picture is having a problem, please contact Time Warner at 756-5000. That's 756-5000. We'll be starting the open forum in a minute, but we're going to start with a presentation. As we continue with Women's History Month, we want to recognize a number of people who made a great event possible on March 8th, the International Day of Women, right here in our own Buckland House. We held really a unique Women's History Month event where, thanks to a partnership with a ninth grade English class at Brighton High School, we were able to put together an event where people in the community met some of the great women in Brighton's history. So I want to invite the people who made that possible up here. These were students of Ms. Trish Anise. If you would come and join us up here, please. And Josie Brooks, Candace O'Connor, Elise Dubois, Elizabeth McFarland Porter, and Emily Dowler, if you would all come up. There were two other students, Leanna Stein and Eliza Shriver, who couldn't be here. Why don't you just come on up right behind me. But I really appreciate the work that you did. There are two other people that were tremendously responsible. Our recreation director, Becky Cotter, who is here tonight. And as we said so many times last year during our bicentennial year, the steward of Brighton's history, Mary Jo Lanfear. Thank you so much, both of you, for everything that you did. But I do want to make these presentations. We have certificates of appreciation for each of you. First, Emily Dowler. Emily. As a guide for the day. Candace O'Connor. Candace, here you go. Candace portrayed Isabella Dorsey. And next, Elise. Is it Dubois or Dubois? Dubois, good. I got it right the first time. Elise portrayed Ellen Tolan. name that should be familiar to you, everybody, with the Stone Tolan house. Elizabeth McFarland Porter.
Elizabeth
Couldn't be here. The lives of our high school students are incredibly busy. Josie Brooks. Josie. Josie really did a great job. She not only researched these important women in our history, but wrote monologues that each of the women, each of the students in their roles, shared with the participants in the event. I had the pleasure of being out there that afternoon, and it was really great to see. I would particularly note, and it's unfortunate that Elizabeth couldn't be here, but she portrayed Alice Foley, who is one of the great educators in Brighton's history. And we did have one of our residents come through who in fact took a class from Alice Foley when Alice was teaching before she was an administrator, Ellen Adams. And there's a lovely picture of the two of them, I know, on Facebook and probably elsewhere. So that was wonderful. Let me just read what each one of these certificates said. The town of Brighton gratefully acknowledges with thanks and appreciation for your generous leadership and coordination of the Women of Brighton event on this 25th day of March 2015. And that is the certificate that goes to their teacher, Ms. Tricia Neese.
Sure.
Or would it, and would any of the students like to say a few words?
Would any of the girls like to say anything? Well, I'll hear you.
Trish, it's all yours.
I'm just really pleased I had a chance to do this event with these lovely young ladies, and I think that it was a really nice endeavor in finding out about the history of the women of Brighton and bringing some of those histories that were not particularly well documented to light. And I can't say enough about the really nice writing that Josie did when she took that research. And I think I've indicated when I've talked about this before. In one case, she worked from 3 different accounts of Ellen Tolan's obituary and a lien on a house. And she created a really lovely piece of work, and each was distinct in its own way. So I was very pleased. And then, of course, working with the girls, they're so creative and intelligent, and they have so much energy that it was just, they brought her words to life in all sorts of really nice ways. So I really want to thank Becky and Mary Jo for giving us the chance to do this. It was really fun, and I feel really good about it, and I know the girls do too, because we've talked about it a lot since that time. But thank you, too, for the recognition. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Trish. Thank you, all of you, and parents and siblings out there. You should be very proud. These are great kids, and they did a wonderful job that day. Thank you all so much.
I'd just like to say that I was there that day with Bill, and they were great. They had their costumes on, and they took it very, very seriously, and it was a wonderful afternoon.
It really was. I know I enjoyed it. And, you know, I had another opportunity just today to see what great kids we have in our, oh, thanks, Becky. What great kids we have. As I do each year, I was at the Brighton High School for their Law and Government class this morning. Each semester they write letters to government officials, sometimes including myself. They write good letters raising some issues. Some of them I've passed down to our Commissioner of Public Works, Tim Keefe. Sometimes they're police issues, but they always put a lot of thought into their letters. And then we come into the classroom. We conduct a sort of a mini town board meeting and get student participation. We held a hearing on a proposed local law in the fictional town of Barron Town. For those of you Brighton High School fans, you'll get that. Barron Town. Their teachers and the students really engage in this public hearing. We had a lot of great dialogue, and so whenever I'm in the schools, whichever school it is, it's a great experience, and so kudos to that law and government class, several classes really that gathered together today. Okay, next we will go into the open forum. The open forum is an opportunity at every meeting for members of the audience to address the town board about any matter, whether or not it's on the agenda tonight. Now, if you are here for one of the public hearings and you'd like your comments to be included in the record of the public hearing, I would encourage you to wait until that public hearing is called. There is one public hearing scheduled for tonight concerning the University of Rochester incentive zoning and rezoning. But during the open forum, I will recognize members of the audience who wish to speak. When you're recognized, please come up to the podium, state your name and address, if you would, please. Please direct your comments to the board. Please be courteous and try to keep your comments as concise as possible. If you're working from written remarks and you'd like those remarks entered into the record of the meeting, you can hand them to the town clerk. But before we do that, we have in the open forum a presentation on behalf of Anthony Costello and Son Development, and I believe we have Jerry Goldman here to make a presentation concerning a proposed, and it hasn't been made yet, but a planned proposed amendment to the incentive zoning approval for the reserve. Jerry?
Good evening, Mr. Supervisor, members of the board. My name is Jerry Goldman. I'm the attorney and agent for the Costello Group. With me here tonight is Bill Daly, who's the vice president of the Costello Group, vice president of development. We're here this evening to start the process for the town board to consider an amendment, essentially, to the plan for the reserve. Not quite historical significance that Mary Jo will put in her records, but 5 years ago tonight, the rezoning for the reserve was approved by this town board. Subsequent to that time, there have been a number of amendments, as a matter of course, and it's, I believe, we had amendments in 2010, 2011, and 2012. And we're here tonight to talk about the dynamics of changing market demand. As you know, the reserve is probably the largest mixed-use residential developments ever approved in the town of Brighton and developed in the town of Brighton. It was approved by the town board for a maximum of 327 residential units. Approximately 270 of those were condominium units of loft variety or townhouse variety. The current market trends have been very interesting. The original plan was looking at what would be relatively modest single-family homes, as well as some upper-end homes, but as well as the condominium, townhouse buildings, and the lofts. What we found is that the high end has gotten tremendously high end, and those units which have sold to this point have far exceeded the per square foot amount that we would have expected. At the same time, the condominium townhouse units have also sold at dollars and square footage returns which were substantially higher. Enough so that the market has really absorbed the condominium townhouses, and we are looking to present to the town board a reallocation of condominium units within the site to provide more of what the people are looking for. There will be a lot of information which will be provided as part of our submission and application, and as the supervisor pointed out, and rightfully so, this is the beginning of a process. We will be meeting with staff to make sure that we are consistent in our views and interpretations of the existing code and the existing development plan. Early next week, we plan to submit by next Wednesday our full request to the town board. The matter, that's normally the pre-filing period for this board to consider accepting that request at your April 8th meeting. We are looking to go to the planning board at their April 15th meeting. We already have a place on their agenda for another matter, but we are going to defer that site plan application to deal with the incentive zoning advisory report, which is typical for the town board to refer and to get the town board's input or planning board's input on those matters. Upon the return of the report from the planning board, then the town board can opt or decide to hold a public hearing on this matter. The reason why, among the reasons why we are here at a public hearing, was that we had a discussion relative to condominiums and condominium townhouses in 2011. And at that time, there was a fixed number of condominium townhouses which were authorized, with a specific statement that any deviation from that would require approval of the town board after a public hearing. So we are following the mandates of the town board as it was in 2011 in terms of what our process is going to be. After the public hearing, of course, the board can make their decision on the request. We do appreciate the fact that we're condensing quite a few meetings in a relatively short amount of time, and for that, we do thank you, but our building season seemingly is shrinking every year to the point where who knows what's going to be 3 years from now. But we're looking to see if we can salvage this building season in terms of being able to market and sell the demanded units that are out there. That is, to this point, just a report and essentially a preview of what we propose to bring forward to the town board for consideration. I am pretty well exhausted with everything I can do at this point.
Thank you, Jerry. I would note, as Mr. Goldman noted, we do not yet have the Costello Group's application. Once we get that, we'll all have an opportunity to take a close look at it. We may have, I have no doubt, we'll have many questions at that point. I would note one additional meeting, and that is that a week from Tuesday, April 7th, is the Public Works Committee meeting. And this item will also be on the agenda to give the Public Works Committee an opportunity to review the proposal as well at 9 o'clock that Tuesday morning right here in Town Hall. So that will be one additional meeting at which this is going to be considered.
Thank you for that correction.
Just an addition.
I forgot that one.
Again, we don't have the application, so I'm hoping that when we get the application, and I know you've gotten some guidance from myself and from staff as to what we're expecting to see in that application, and I know you know that the subject of condominiums, and in particular the impact on our ability to finance local services, the school district's ability to finance school services, was a hot issue at the time. Mm-hmm. It continues to be a hot issue, and beyond the sort of site planning issues that I know are going to be relevant, because you are making some significant changes to the layout of the overall project. I know we're going to be looking very closely at the information you have concerning expected overall impact on town taxes in particular, but all taxes, the density of the project, and the like. So
that's correct.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
We'll see you
Often.
next. Yes.
Often in the next couple,
Yep.
3 weeks.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Okay, we'll now begin the open forum. Just want to mention one more thing. If you're at home You can participate in the open forum by calling 303-3060. Someone will take your call and relay your question or comment to us. As always, whether it's a question from here or a question from home, we'll attempt to answer your question. If we can't, we'll try to get back to you. But again, that number, if you're watching off-site, is 303-3060. If you are deaf or hearing impaired, we do have a TDD line. That number is 784-5205. 784-5205 is our TDD line if you would like to participate in the open forum and you're deaf or hearing impaired. So we'll now begin the open forum. We look forward to your questions and your comments. Is there anyone that would like to address the board during the open forum? Josh?
Thank you. My name is Joshua Barth. I'm the county legislator for District 24, which includes a large section of southeast Rochester, but also a large section of north central Brighton. Essentially, if you run down Winton all the way down to 12 Corners, past it towards Westfall and down there, swing it over to the river, and that's more or less the district. I'm here to give an update on the happenings in the county legislature. In particular, we had a meeting of the Ways and Means Committee this evening, and there were 3 referrals that relate to Brighton, and I wanted to let you know how that turned out. Specifically, all 3 passed, but I did have an opportunity to ask some particular questions about the construction projects that they're contemplating, and in fact, we'll be moving forward with. There will be a lot of work done in Brighton in this coming construction season. In particular, I'm going to list them out, and I'm going to have to read it. South Clinton Avenue from Elmwood over to the city line, the Westfall Road from Lac DeVille Boulevard over to Monroe Avenue, and then again South Winton Road from Westfall up to the city line as well. All of those, I was assured, will not result in any road closures, and it will be a rolling construction season beginning in what they refer to as spring, and I think they were covering their bases, but they assured me that they would be done by November, and given the weather, I think they would have to be. So that is actually, I think, good news, because this is some significant dollars coming into the area to provide some improvements to our roadways. In addition to that, there was a study approved for engineering services to look into the layout of putting an additional lane in at the intersection of Lac DeVille and Elmwood, which, if you're familiar with it, it's very difficult to turn left or right off of Elmwood with the construction. And in fact, it's part of my route to work every day, and I can attest to the fact that that can be a challenge. And that was approved as well, and for the research and the planning to go into it now, with an anticipation that that 5th lane will be added in 2017. When exactly is unknown, but sometime during that time frame. And then finally, I did check in on the culvert project on South Winton down by the school, and there was a request made to the administration to preserve a dated head wall insignia or symbol or seal, and in fact, I confirmed that that is part of the contract that will go forth to the contractors, and so if it is at all possible, it will be preserved. Mind you, perhaps it falls apart, someone touches it, but nonetheless, they will make the attempt, and so I'm very pleased to know that they're doing that. So I have good news all around, so it's a very pleasant Ways and Means Committee meeting, and that's a good thing, I got to say.
Yes, it is.
So that's my report for today, and if any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Josh.
Question here. You mentioned Westfall Road is going to be, is that, what is it they're going to do to Westfall?
They're going to be doing a lot of spot repairs. They're going to be looking at resurfacing. It's not replacing the road or anything like that. It's really spot repairs and replace damaged patches, and then the repaint as necessary, as well as any not erosion, but wear and tear that may have occurred on the edges of the road and things like that.
I think, Tim, for each of them, it was what we often call a mill and fill for each of those roads. And you know, we're certainly pleased, particularly with Winton Road. Winton Road from the 12 Corners north to the city line has been a battle zone for too long, and particularly after this winter. I've certainly gotten more questions and concerns about that stretch than any other. And I've spoken with the county executive about it as well, and we do appreciate that that the county is going to be doing that road this time. I'm also very pleased with the proposal for Elmwood at Lac DeVille. That was initiated by a resident who raised a concern. Of course, there's a light at the other end of Lac DeVille at Westfall Road, and the argument, and I shared it and sent a letter of support as well, is that here on Elmwood we have not only, down on Westfall you have 2 lanes, here we have 4 lanes, significant traffic. We also have a driveway for Faith Temple Church in very close proximity, which only exacerbates the traffic confusion in various directions. So I think that that light, and of course a light there, will also promote gaps in the heavy Elmwood Avenue rush hour traffic in each direction. So I do think this is a good improvement, and I appreciate the resident who initiated the request. And I'm sorry that on your third point that our town historian has left, because Mary Jo Lanfear really initiated the interest. She, after the culvert meeting that the county had here, she went out, took a look at that culvert, noted the date, did a little research into the history, that it really dated back to the founding of the Meadowbrook neighborhood, and the opportunity to try to save it, if at all possible, if it's of a condition that it, as you say, doesn't just crumble as it's being taken out of the ground, is a great thing. So we're pleased. At least I'm certainly very pleased with each of those 3.
Well, if I could just add on quickly, I just wanted to chime in and indicate that, this is actually a sign, particularly the Lac DeVille and intersection, that, citizen involvement, it makes a huge difference. There's a lot of power and voice if a citizen comes forth with a good proposal, say, this needs to be looked at, and, sometimes things, actually do work out the way we would want them to work out. So I'd urge people to consider, if they have an idea, to bring it forth, because you never know. It really could make a positive change for the community as a whole. So I just was very appreciative of that.
The widening of Elmwood into that 5th lane is just that left turn lane area. The rest of Elmwood will not be widened.
Correct.
So, Jim, you had a...
Yeah, this is not to put it on your plate, but Tim, help me with this. What is important in Brighton is we have so many county and state roads that cut through our town. 12 Corners is a perfect example. Sometimes they don't coordinate their schedule unless Tim calls them and ensures that when they come through Brighton, that they do coordinate their schedules. But a case in point, there is virtually potholes, plural, at the corner of East Avenue, which is 96, and that is a state road. And
Elmwood.
No.
Oh, the one at Allen's Creek?
Allen's Creek is a
They're
county
both of
road.
them.
Actually, Allen's Creek is a town road, Jim.
Yeah, county road, I know.
Town road.
And the state road, a town road.
Yeah.
Right at the corner, though, we can get it into a dilemma as to who's going to do what. Because of those potholes there, they really, you could say they're as much on the state as they are on us.
Right.
And the same thing goes over with Elmwood Avenue, which is a county road. And you got 96, or East Avenue, which is a state road. So it's very interesting the challenge our Public Works Department has in trying to coordinate who's going to do what with whom and when.
It's always a good question, Jim, and I will say that when people call in, most of the general public are unaware of whose jurisdiction a road is. But if it's in the town of Brighton and we get the call, we contact the county, we contact the state. If it's our road, we take care of it.
Tim, if you'd share that number, because I think it's a good number that people have to call in to our office to report a pothole.
Well, actually, the complaint line is I think is what you're talking about, Bill, but actually, I actually prefer this time of year to have them call directly to the Highway Department at 784-5280 because we have a dispatcher on 24/7. And if it's bad enough, we can get out there immediately, where the complaint line is not always monitored as closely. But I believe that's 784-53, I think it's 80. I'd have to double check.
But we'll give them that first.
Yeah,
first number.
I always encourage them to call the Highway Department
784
directly. 784-5280. is the highway department, and that's prompt response, because
like-
that'll get directly handled when the call comes in.
Now, like some of the ruts that occurred because of the freezing thawing at 12 Corners, you could say it's on Elmwood Avenue, but you could also say it's on Monroe Avenue.
Right.
And you might just mention how we address those kind of,
If those calls come in, Jim, generally we will check them out to see which jurisdiction they fall in, refer them to the correct, either the state or the county. And I know the county has a dispatch line too that's 24/7. The folks there are great, very responsive.
Yeah.
Talked to them on a number of occasions, and I'd have to say they respond quite quickly as well. When
And
there's
they've been
something that
out.
comes up. They have.
They have already fixed
Yep.
some of the worst
Yep.
potholes with
Yep.
some cold patch, and
No, but it's, the county DOT folks are very responsive, good group of people.
I'd like to chime in on that as well, because I've made some personal calls there as well, and they are always responsive, including where the jurisdiction is a little unclear until they go out and take a look. And I'm thinking about South Clinton up to the city line. There's a pretty big upheaval up there. Turned out it was on the county side, and they've done some work on it already. I don't want to say they fixed it, but they definitely improved it. And I've been very impressed by the DOT at the county level. That's what I say.
good.
Josh, thanks for coming out tonight. Appreciate it.
Always a pleasure. Have a good evening.
You too. Is there anyone else that would like to address the town board during the open forum? If not, we'll continue with the remainder of the agenda. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second?
Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye?
Councilmember Novros?
Aye.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. And a motion to approve and file the town board meeting minutes for the February 11th, 2015 board meeting.
So moved?
Second.
Discussion? Please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye?
Councilmember Novros?
Aye.
Councilmember DePonzio? Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Next item is the public hearing on the incentive zoning and rezoning application for the University of Rochester's proposed institutional plan development district. We do have some representatives from the university here tonight. This is a continuation of a public hearing that has been open at several of our meetings. I do anticipate closing the public hearing after tonight's meeting. So no additional public notice is required because this is that continuation. But I do declare that the public hearing is again reopened. I would note that in the meeting packet, in with the agenda and the supporting materials, is a copy of a PowerPoint presentation that was given by the university at an earlier meeting that summarizes the overall proposal. So is there anyone present this evening that would like to address the proposed incentives and zoning and rezoning application made by the University of Rochester for their proposed institutional plan development project, the so-called South Campus area? Is there anyone that would like to address the board on this public hearing? Anyone from the board with any comments for the record for this public hearing? We will close the public hearing after tonight. We've continued to have meetings at the staff and senior staff levels to address ongoing issues relating to a variety of issues. But I think we've had a good opportunity to get public input. That's very important to the process. Nothing further the university wishes to put in the record? Thank you. Well, then, hearing nothing, I declare the public hearing on the U of R South Campus incentive zoning and rezoning application for their IPD project to be closed. Next, we'll move on to communications. We have a couple of letters that we'll be receiving tonight, both relating to the proposed redevelopment of the Clover Lanes property. Can I have a motion to receive and file those?
So, second.
A motion by Jim, seconded by Jason. Any discussion?
Bill, I see we continue to get regular letters on the Clover Lanes project as proposed. I think also people are to be encouraged to communicate directly with the developer there. I know Mr. Daniele had asked that if people have some concerns that they communicate directly with him. They obviously are of great interest to us as well here, and we ultimately have that decision.
Yeah, although I certainly would, if anybody does communicate with the Danieles, we welcome, receiving a copy of them. I would note that, just to update everybody, the town board previously referred this matter for an advisory report, as is our course with an incentive zoning application. It was referred to the planning board. The planning board heard the matter at its last meeting and will be developing an advisory report back to the town board, which we'll look at and from that point make a determination as to how to proceed based in part upon the recommendations contained in that advisory report.
The other, a compliment though to the highway department, despite the fact the snowplow whumped her mailbox into her front lawn. Very pleased how promptly the highway department repaired that and restored it. So, congratulations, Tim.
We have a motion to receive and file those communications. Further discussion? And please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember Novros?
Aye.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Committee reports, Parks and Recreation and Community Services. Louise?
Parks and Recreation and Community Services has not met since the last town board meeting. Our next meeting will be April 30th, Monday, at 4:30 in the
March 30th.
March 30th, yes. Yeah, I got the day right this time. It's usually the third Monday of the month, but this time it's the fourth, and it's at 4:30 at Brookside, and the public is welcome. And community service end of it, I really hope that anybody that's watching that's part of or president of a neighborhood association will get in touch with me regarding Clean Sweep. We have a couple of neighborhoods who have signed up to clean up their own neighborhoods this time, and that's what we're aiming to do with a lot of the neighborhood associations this time. And many of the neighborhoods have pocket parks, and we want them to clean those up and also the streets within the neighborhood. So if you could get in touch with me, we can assign places for you, and it will make it a lot easier. Thank you.
And Louise, the date of Clean Sweep
Clean
is?
Sweep is going to be May 30th. So, no, May 16th, I'm sorry. May 30th is electronics and shredding. And April 25th is the take back of the pharmaceuticals. But Clean Sweep is the 16th, so we will have every other Saturday for 3 times. We will have an event.
Okay. Thank you, Louise. Finance and Administrative Services.
Bill, the Finance Administrative Services Committee met last Tuesday, March 17. All of the matters discussed there, save one, are on tonight's agenda. We'll talk about those in detail then. We then had an extended discussion with Director Zazo regarding the GASB 45 actuarial valuation report regarding the actuary's valuation of post-employment benefits. And it's a complex formulation of what our ongoing liability is for funding post-employee benefits for our retirees, and that's the nature of life at finance as well. The complex matters and the simple matters are taken.
Complex isn't the half of it, reading that report. It took a lot of coffee to get through that report.
But Suzanne and Andrew was there as well, as I recall.
Andrew Robinson, our budget director that we speak of often, is here with us tonight instead of
Helped us
Suzanne.
wade through that. But the next meeting will be Tuesday, March 31st, which is next Tuesday. It'll be in the stage conference room behind us here at 3:30, and the public is invited.
Thanks, Chris. Public safety, Jason?
Yes, Bill, Public Safety has not met since our last regularly scheduled town board meeting. Our next meeting will be held on Tuesday, April 14th. We meet at 8 o'clock in the morning in the lower level community meeting room, and the public is invited to attend.
Thanks, Jason. Jim, Public Works?
Public Works has not met since our last committee, or our last council meeting. Our next scheduled meeting is Tuesday, April 7th, 9 a.m. in the lower level community meeting room.
Great.
And the public, again, is invited to all of these.
And I would again note that among the other items that will be on the agenda will be that proposed amended
And for
incentive
the
zoning
reserve,
for the
yeah.
reserve.
Yeah.
Important,
Okay.
important matter.
Yeah.
New business, reading and approval of the claims. Chris?
Bill, this evening I've reviewed claims totaling $598,219.21. Those of some significance. Hopefully it's our last salt bill. What do you think, Tim? $44,240?
We have crossed our fingers.
Good job.
Opposed?
And everything else. I see solicitor background checks starting, $129. Dan, what are you seeing?
Yeah, no, just a couple of other companies have come through, and we do run background checks on all of the companies that do apply. Each individual that they're going to be putting out on our streets, just to make sure that they're good players, and everybody passed. And those go up actually. There's on the town clerk's site, on the town page, we do list the company and each individual that has been approved. And actually, there's also a slide that we put up on Cable 12 as well that rolls through just to show people of who's out there, because we do get a lot of calls, as people start going out there, and they're very rarely are permitted. So definitely, if you've got somebody and you have a question, I know some residents are quick to call, and I thank them for that, and keep checking in.
We really do thank them for that. We have that law for a reason. We're not trying to prevent people from legitimately engaging in business, engaging in free speech activities. But we do know that when someone is going door to door, a stranger knocks on your door, it can be a disconcerting experience. And I think the most important thing to remember, no one ever has to open the door. If someone is at your door claiming to be selling something, you are absolutely within your rights. And by the way, you're not being impolite or anything else if you just tell them, I'm sorry, I don't buy things door to door. A lot of people don't, just like a lot of people won't make donations over the telephone. You are within your rights in telling them, I'm sorry, I'm not opening the door. You are absolutely in your rights as well to let them know and ask them, have you been permitted by the town of Brighton? I do every time. And Dan, you're right. Usually they have not gotten their permit. That's a violation of our law, and we do encourage you to call 911. If you have someone at your door that doesn't have a permit, that's a 911 call.
Is that a town permit that they'll be carrying with them, Dan?
Yes, no, absolutely. Absolutely. It does. They are given a certificate they're required to have with them at all times.
If they tell you they've got a permit, ask to see it. Because I've had that too. Oh, yes, we have our permit.
Well, it's at the office.
Let me see it.
The boss has it.
Nope.
Yeah.
Every single person soliciting, we've done a background check on them. If they've been approved, they will have in their possession a town-issued permit. If they don't have it, don't open the door, call 911.
Are the folks seeking charitable donations and such, are they permitted as well?
So there are a few exceptions. Those of us in the political realm are exempted. Schools are exempted. Religious institutions, NIPERG and groups of the sort are exempt from our code for that. But we do encourage anyone who is in those organizations. NIPERG and a couple of those other groups in particular will give us a heads up and let us know, hey, we're coming to town, and they go through all the steps minus the payment, just because they're trying to be upfront, and we do pass all that on to BPD and just let them know, hey, such and such group's going to be out over these next couple of weeks, so when they get calls, they know, and they know who is going to be out there. And the same goes, incidentally, the same code applies for flyering as well. So if there's any of that, it goes right along with the actual knocking on doors. So a lot of times people don't think about that. And even if they do have a permit, I should say, sorry, Bill, if they do have a permit, certainly as Bill was saying, if anybody feels uncomfortable about the, conversation, by all means, 911. But even if they have a permit, and if you feel uncomfortable with it, certainly 911, or if you feel they were mistreated you in any way, give my office a call, and I will certainly be having a chat with the company as required.
Thanks, Dan.
Yes, Judy, if you can come up to the microphone.
Dan knows I do question because we have a lot of people going through who have no permits or anything like that. I often get, well, my boss has the permit, I don't. You never allow that. Each and every person working for a company must, right?
Yep,
is it?
absolutely.
Okay. Okay. I just wanted to double check on that.
Yep.
Because this is the season, unfortunately.
And permit or no, including, as Dan said, those of us in the political realm. We love it when you open the door. We want to talk to you, but you do not have to.
Right. Right. Thank you for that clarification.
Thanks, Judy.
Thanks, Dan. Some of the other miscellaneous items, although significant, fingerprint scanner just purchased by the town for some $14,000. We sent fines and fees from the court to the state of about $48,000. And the big item, though, was the medical insurance premiums paid for by the town and by the members as well, some $285,000. It's almost half the total for the month. And $1.98 New York State sales tax on bicentennial items we pay to the state. But I find the claims to be in order and move that they be approved for payment.
Second.
I have
Scott?
a
Yeah,
question.
go ahead.
What is the expendable trust? It says, the last item, expendable trust.
That's a trust fund, Andrew.
It's a category of claims.
Yeah,
but,
so it's a category in our fund accounting, and for example, the clean sweep monies are in an expendable trust. It's where they're not segregated in the operating budget. Usually, yeah, that's a good example. The clean sweep monies are a good example of that.
Okay. Good thing.
the money that's come into a trust fund that can be expended for a particular purpose. Is that the case?
Yeah, there's other trust funds as well, like if we take in money as a
Parkland Trust Fund, for
Parkland
example.
Trust or other that aren't associated with the operating budget on an annual basis.
Okay. Thank you.
Anything further? Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember Novros?
Aye.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Warner?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Next matter, Chris.
Bill, the first matter is to authorize the supervisor to execute an agreement with Lightronics to provide online streaming services for the new year, April 16, 2015 through April 15, 2016. I move that we adopt the resolution before us as prepared by the attorney for the town.
Second.
Any discussion? This is a continuation of an existing agreement relating to streaming our
Just one question,
meetings.
Mary Ann.
Yes.
It's interesting, it says locally as well as worldwide.
If you can sign on to our website, you can view our stream.
the World Wide Web.
How about that, folks? Wow.
And then there's on demand, we have our YouTube page too, so if you want to view a meeting other than what's live on TV and on the stream, you can also view our YouTube page.
Yeah.
And videos of our meetings are filed there as well.
Yeah, we had this discussion at FASC, is it worth it to have live streaming? And we discussed the pros and cons of that, and we all agreed that live streaming is very essential.
Yep.
As well as if you want to see the best of the town of Brighton, you can always go on the archives.
On the YouTube page, absolutely. Good, we have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember Novros?
Aye.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Warner?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Jim?
Next item is to authorize the supervisor to execute an amendment to the out-of-district sewer use agreement with the town of Penfield in order to include a particular town of Brighton property I move on the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second.
This is a property on Collingsworth Drive near the Penfield line.
Yeah.
And
Tim,
this
would
will-
you just take a minute to explain for the public what this all entails?
Sure, Jim.
It occurs from time to time.
If you recall, a couple years ago, Penfield was wishing to serve their portion of Collingsworth with a sanitary sewer for their residents. Our residents, which are probably a handful on that street, had the opportunity but chose not to because of the costs at the time to have the sewers extended into Brighton. We have, as does happen on occasion, someone up there that is on septic and the septic system has failed. And with the proximity of these sewers, which is now to connect to the, the sewer system, this is actually a good thing. We try to encourage people whenever we can to get them on sanitary sewers versus septic. So this is this particular instance. Because there is no sewer per se in Brighton to connect to, it has to connect to the Penfield, the sewer in Penfield, and it's very typical to have an out-of-district contract because it's part of the Penfield system, not the Brighton system, so that thereby the out-of-district title. So this will allow the people to make the connection, have sanitary sewer service, and not have to rely on a failing septic system.
And the way it's set up is to make it financially neutral
Right.
for both the town of Penfield and the town of Brighton sewer district, because I think this Penfield connection ultimately connects back into the Brighton
Correct.
sewer. So Penfield pays a charge to Brighton, so now the homeowner is going to pay a charge to Penfield or get a credit, or Penfield's going to basically get a credit for the amount that they would otherwise be paying in to the Brighton sewer district. So it's good for the homeowner, it's neutral for the Brighton sewer district, so.
But you might say, why aren't they hooked into the town of Brighton
Well,
sewer
Tim
system
noted there
because of
isn't a-
proximity?
It's not there.
Yeah, it's proximity.
Physically,
Yeah.
physically they don't really have that opportunity, Jim. So this is the next best thing.
Yeah.
Good, thank you. We have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember Novros?
Aye.
Councilmember DeFonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Warner?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Chris?
Bill, the next matter is to seek approval to amend the 2015 budget to include an unanticipated insurance reimbursement of some $1,353.86 and appropriate the same into particular highway maintenance and equipment rental accounts. I move that we adopt the resolution before us as prepared by the attorney for the town.
Second.
And this is a matter involving insurance recovery relating to the salt barn when
Yep, salt delivery.
did some damage, so. We have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember Novros?
Aye.
Councilmember DeFonzio? Councilmember Warner?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Louise?
I knew you would do that because I couldn't pronounce her name. Approval to accept donation in the amount of $50 from Mrs. Catherine
Alicia?
Alicia to be added to the Senior Program Trust Fund. I move on the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second.
Thank you. We appreciate it. It's never required, but it's always very nice when someone shows their gratitude this way. Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember Novros?
Aye.
Councilmember DeFonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Warner?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Jason?
Yes, the next matter is to authorize the supervisor to execute the publicly owned sewer system notification registration for the Sewage Pollution Right to Know Act. Enable access to new statewide reporting system, NY Alert. I move we adopt the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second.
This is obvious, we've got correspondence from Mike, but Tim, if you can sort of give us a thumbnail sketch of this?
Be happy to, Supervisor. We always have regulations for certain things, and when new things come up, such as this recently went into effect, we do have a plan, and we do have a plan for notification. This just enhances our ability to report. As you see, we have a very short window of time to make the initial declaration, I guess would be the best word to say it, when we had an event where we've had sewer surcharges or overflows, to be able to advise the Health Department, DEC, or adjoining communities of this. So this is a great tool that's out there. It will be, once we're enrolled, it'll be able to be utilized if we do have any reporting. Obviously, we'll have to take the first step to initiate the reporting so that it can be sent out, but that is something that we would do normally when we had an incident. I'm happy to report that we have not had incidents as of late. Sewer department's done a great job, and with the support of the town board for our annual program to maintain our sewers and to make improvements to the existing sewer systems. So, we've been clean and green for a while now.
But you're right, under this law, we have, if there were to be a
Absolutely.
discharge of raw or partially treated sewage, and normally that's because of a heavy rain event is one of the things that might cause that. But we have 2 hours to report that to the state DEC and State Department of Health, so.
It's a very, very tight time frame.
Yep.
Sure is.
Good, thanks, Tim. Further discussion? Please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember Novros? Aye. Councilmember DeFonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Chris?
Bill, the last item is to authorize supervisor to execute an agreement with the lowest responsive and responsible bidder, Sunshine Concrete, to provide 2015 budgeted services for sidewalk replacement program. I move that we adopt the resolution before us as prepared by the attorney for the town.
Second.
We discussed this in finance. The proposals came in at a very attractive price, less than what we had budgeted. We will have the opportunity, if we determine that more work is needed, to authorize more by change order at that price. And again, with the severe winter we had, we don't really know yet what kind of condition our sidewalks are going to be in. We've talked about the roads being in rough shape, but the frost heaving can affect them as well. So we'll be, but we're pleased. As always, your folks put together a good proposal. We've gotten Sunshine as a company we've worked with in the past, and not every year, but they're a familiar face. So good. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember Novros?
Aye.
Councilmember DeFonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Matters of the supervisor, just a couple of things. I already talked about the law and government class this morning, which was a great event. I had the opportunity last week to work with the Meals on Wheels program. I was the Mayor Warren was there, as were the supervisors of Arundecoit and Gates, in addition to myself. Meals on Wheels is a joint effort of Visiting Nurse Service and the Red Cross. It's primarily run out of the Red Cross facility on Prince Street near the Auditorium Theater. They are delivering close to 1,000 meals a day to mostly seniors, but also some others who are otherwise, not able to cook. It's much more than food, though. It's an opportunity. It's someone in the house talking to them, a little human contact, but they're also trained to observe, is the recipient okay? Do they seem confused? Is there something else going on? And if so, they're in a position to report that, and there can be some check-in. There are kosher meals served through the Meals on Wheels program that come out of the Jewish home, and so that's again, they're really trying to be as responsive to the needs of the community. We had a great opportunity. Although we didn't actually deliver meals that day, we helped prepare and package these meals. They have advised me that they would be very happy if I and if any of us really would like to help them do a Meals on Wheels delivery. So if any of you would like to join me in doing that, let me know, and we'll try to arrange a time. And I would encourage folks out there in the community They're always, like so many organizations, so many great groups are, but they're looking for volunteers. It's a real nice opportunity to, you'll get a smile with every meal you deliver, so.
Do you use your own car for that, Bill, or do they?
Yes, yes, you would. Yep. And they're, you know, it's a daytime opportunity, although they do deliver meals for weekends for people that, you know, that need them. But they deliver hot meals, you know, during the week. So the other thing I wanted to mention, Jim, you'll like this. You'll get a kick out of this.
All right, I'm listening.
I happened to read this afternoon that Washington, D.C. has a goose problem. And they have done what the town of Brighton, under your tutelage, did about 20 years ago. They've gone to the dogs.
Oh, they have.
And they are going to be using border collies down in D.C., particularly around some of those beautiful, famous monuments that we have. They have discovered that filtration systems and the like are being fouled, pun intended. And but they are using the same approaches that we use. I don't know about the egg addling, but they are using, you know, the border collies to disperse geese and, you know, let them know it does work. So, Jim, you're 20 years ahead of your time, and it's a great thing. Thank you for continuing that effort. Matters of the attorney to the town.
None this evening, thank you.
Matters of the clerk.
Nothing this evening.
Matters of the board. I want to thank, as always, our cable TV staff. We appreciate the work you do on getting us out on TV and also on the internet. Can I have a motion to go into executive session to discuss the employment of particular people?
So moved.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember Novros?
Aye.
Councilmember DeFanzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. We will not be coming back out after the executive session. We'll adjourn, so look forward to seeing you again at our next town board meeting, April 8th, right here, 7 o'clock. Have a good evening.